Welcome to Mock the Mock, where I take a look at someone else's mock draft and I'm mocking, giving you my views, thoughts, and opinions. Got a great one for you today. We're actually going to be traveling over into NBC Sports and taking a look at one half of the NFL Stock Exchange, Connor Rogers and his mock draft. So let's go ahead and get into this sucker with the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. So we're going to be talking about this whole offseason. Will the Titans take Ward? Will they take Sanders? Will they trade out? Are they taking a quarterback? We'll figure that out as the whole offseason process goes on. But currently, probably the odds-on favorite, they take a quarterback. Are you going to take the guy with more upside, with a bigger arm, better use of the mobility in Cam Ward? Or are you going to take just Shedeur Sanders and just what he is as a processor, as a passer, more complete in that regard? I tend to like to take the swing for the upside, and that's what Connor is doing right here. Let's move on to the Cleveland Browns. Is this pick quarterback? As they're going to be... No! Browns take Travis Hunter, wide receiver / corner out of Colorado. Let's actually read this one real quick because I'm curious if he's seeing him... is he seeing him more corner or more wide receiver? So while staring at the hourglass waiting for the sands to empty out on the Deshaun Watson contract, that's good writing, guys, the Browns will finally look to add real competition at quarterback this offseason. I'm assuming through free agency. I would imagine they try to do that in the pro market first. If they are successful, this opens the door for them just to take the best. Okay, so he doesn't really clarify specifically if he's taking him for one position or the next. I believe Greg Newsome is a free agent after next season. You could always bring in more wide receivers. You saw promising things from Cedric Tillman, but he was basically out for like a month and a half with a concussion. Jerry Jeudy has finally started to emerge, but you can add another wide receiver into the mix there. So, I kind of like this as a spot to play Hunter full-time at corner and then moonlight at wide receiver. So I kind of like this pick. I kind of like this. But before we move on, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. It's the best place to play weekly best ball. And you might be like, Broshmo, football is over. We're on to the playoffs. Well, they got fantasy football, best ball for the playoffs. It takes some real skill because you're drafting a team and it can't be, you don't want those one hit it and quit it because you draft a guy, they better be going to at least that conference championship. So it really takes some real brain power. And they got a great deal for you. If you sign up and use promo code Broshmo, then they will match your first deposit up to $1,000 dues. It's like I said, it's not just football. You can do basketball, you can do baseball, you can do even e-game, and it's nuts. It's wild. But take advantage of this ludicrous deal that they got going on as long as you use the promo code, baby, Broshmo. But as always, play responsibly, play within your means. We got Shedeur Sanders going to the New York Giants. After Sanders didn't go at 2, you knew he was going at 3. The Giants need a quarterback. They're going to go at another year with Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. Obviously, Gojo's not a fan. Obviously, he's not a fan. Gotta get him out of here. Gojo's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I don't even know why he cares. Regardless, Brian Daboll, the seat he is in is currently on fire. It is hot lava. He has not yet, since being the coach here, gotten to be able to pick his guy. And in this draft class, he still might not be able to, but he's probably going to take a Hail Mary shot on a quarterback in this class. Is that going to be Ward? Is that going to be Sanders? Are they even going to be available after picks 1 and 2? Or is Drew Aller gonna decide to declare after wanting to return? I don't know. We'll find out, but they're going quarterback. New England Patriots. They're going to go with Will Campbell, tackle / guard out of LSU. Offensive line help for the Patriots, I think, does make a ton of sense. I would push to do that in free agency and just kind of go best available here, whether that's Travis Hunter, whether that's Abdul Carter, whether that is Mason Graham, Will Johnson. That's what I'm doing if I'm the New England Patriots. But I get it. Offensive line help. I think largely a lot of people have Will Campbell as the top offensive lineman in this class. I lean Kelvin Banks, but I still think Banks and Campbell are kind of like neck and neck. We got Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to go with Mason Graham. That's kind of a fun pick. I still like Will Johnson at this pick, but I get it. It is what it is. I mean, you get to just further secure that defensive line, which, I mean, obviously you got Travon Walker, you got Josh Hines Allen, you have on the interior Eric Armstead. You're hoping to develop Mason Smith, and add in Mason Graham adds another just wrinkle to the fold here. And it's like, hey, our pass rush is going to be monstrous. I think I still lean Will Johnson. I like that pick better for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Matter of fact, I just took a little peek at the Las Vegas Raiders pick, and they're going with Will Johnson, corner out of Michigan, which I think is actually interesting because you think of the corner. Yeah, you think of the cornerback room, and it's not terrible in Las Vegas, but Nate Hobbs is a free agent. You got Jack Jones. You got was it Jacorian Bennett? They drafted Cameron. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Mississippi State corner. I can't recall. Richardson. There we go. But I mean, you could argue best player on the board, but do they? Like, they already got rid of their head coach. They got rid of the GM. Do they blow it up? Do they send Max Crosby elsewhere? And maybe this could be an Abdul Carter spot? I don't know, man. The Raiders are going to have a very fascinating offseason, kind of being stuck at that pick 6, not in range for a quarterback. And then the New York Football Jets. That's right. I said football Jets. The Jets, Jets. Take Tetairoa McMillan. Again, this pick is going to hinge on if Aaron Rodgers is back, if Devontae Adams is back, because you could put a post June 1st cut on Aaron Rodgers and still get back some change. But currently, if you let Devontae Adams go, I think that clears up about $30 million in cap space. So it might be very appealing to be like, you know what, we're just going to go into a rebuild, new GM, new head coach. We want to really make the guys that we have here happy, guys like Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. We want to make these young guys happy. We don't want them to leave there. We want them to be our building blocks. We saw good things down the stretch from Olufashinu. So continuing to build that, if you're going to get rid of Devontae Adams, Tetairoa McMillan makes a ton of sense. Carolina Panthers. They're going to go with Abdul Carter because, I mean, that's the most obvious pick at this juncture. Of course, elevate the ceiling of talent for this defense. If Abdul Carter's available, then do it in a heartbeat. I would say, hey, I would just take edge 2 here even. If Carter's not available, I think I'm still going with an edge, regardless at this pick, because the defense is honestly kind of that bad for the Carolina Panthers. You like the NFL draft. Matter of fact, you love the NFL draft, which means you're going to love my draft guide. If you want to know every player your team drafts or even signs as an undrafted free agent, then this is for you. My draft guide updates every day, and you'll be able to see those updates in real time as I add new evals and player backgrounds. It'll have analytics from this year and last year. It'll have the pro day and combine numbers. It'll even have my notes from the senior and Shrine Bowl. It's a one-time purchase of $30 via PayPal, Venmo, or the Cash App. You can check out the pinned comment or the description if you want to follow those links. And when you do purchase it, please be sure to include your email because it is a Google spreadsheet. So I'm going to require email. Don't make me hunt it down because I will hunt you down. I will find you and I'll make sure you get your money's worth. Anywho, thanks for supporting the channel. And we got our first surprise pick in this mock draft, as Armand Membu, offensive lineman out of Missouri, is going at pick 9 here to the New Orleans Saints. And I first want to say, I love Membu. I'm on the Membu hype train. He played right tackle for the Tigers. He's got the build of a guard, but he's got the movement skills to play tackle. He's very young. And in my opinion, I think offensive line in general is on the table for pick 9. Saints kind of in an awkward spot. You're going to see a lot of the blue chip talent come off the board. So you're kind of take what comes to you. That could be offensive line, that could be defensive line. And those are two spots that the Saints, I think, desperately would want to address in this draft, in this offseason in general. But let's be honest, it's going to be in the draft because, well, the Saints are going to have to do some finagling with their cap space. And, let me give a shout out to Alex from Hail Mary Sports. I remember before the season, he was on Membu, and I didn't get to watch Membu until early in the season. And he was like, dude, I think this guy has a chance to be a stud, man. And I was like, Alex, you and the Missouri boys. This is Isaiah McGuire all over again. Anywho, we got the Chicago Bears. They're going to go with Josh Simmons, tackle at Ohio State. Okay, we're seeing a little bit of a fall for Kelvin Banks, seeing other offensive line talent going ahead of him. That's pretty interesting. But the Bears, I do think they're going to be buyers when it comes to the offensive line free agent market. But you can make a great case. They could take an offensive lineman here. I think defensive line would also be an interesting choice. But Josh Simmons, he was having a really good year until the knee injury, unfortunately, in that Oregon game, very early in that Oregon game. But he probably would have got himself into that top 15, top 20 at least conversation. And for a lot of people, he's still there. I think he's kind of like fringe for me at this juncture, but he's got the ability to kick in, play guard. He has experience on both sides of the offensive line, so both tackle spots dating back to his time at San Diego State, so you love to see it. And then we got the San Francisco 49ers taking Jalen Walker, edge / linebacker out of Georgia, but let's be honest, he's an edge. The Niners, trenches, yes, please. Makes all the sense in the world. It's Nick Bosa and a few other guys like Leonard Floyd. He's fine. He's more of a rotational player at this juncture in his career. I don't love the guys that they have behind him. So grabbing Walker, who's a very versatile piece, I think that would be hella fun. You could go with the interior of the defensive line. You can go with the tackle on offense. I think that makes all the sense in the world as well. I think this pick is firmly going to be the trenches, though, for San Fran. Dallas Cowboys are going to take Nick Scorton, edge out of Texas A&M. Okay, Ashton Genty, he's going to go elsewhere in this mock. Very fascinating. I wonder how soon he comes off the board, though. Let's make a guess. I feel like Broncos Chargers, probably maybe the spots. Yeah, I think those might be the spots. So Scorton, I think, is a good fit. Well, typically for Dan Quinn, right? Who was the DC prior to this past season. You got Zimmerman, but he's only on a 1-year deal. We still don't know what the head coaching and the coaching staff in general. We don't know what the coaching situation is going to be in Dallas. They did just draft Marshawn Nealand last season. He got banged up relatively early in the year. They're going to get a healthy Micah Parsons. Well, I mean, Micah Parsons was healthy down the stretch. But regardless, like Scorton, I think is a fun pick. I still look at that interior. Okay, I get it. They also got Sam Williams. So it's like, I look at that interior and it's like, I feel like they need more horses. Osa Odigizua is also a free agent. So, hey, that's something to keep in mind. You got the Miami Dolphins. Fins up, baby. Fins up. Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. Yep. He is. This has probably been the most popular landing spot for Malachi Starks, at least in the mock drafts I've seen recently. I get it. Javon Hollins, a free agent, trying to figure out where Starks can go. I think he might see a bit of a fall when it comes to the draft. I don't know if he sneaks out, like if he slips out of the top 20. I have doubts about that, but I could see him going maybe between picks 16 and 20. I think that might be the range for him, but we'll see. Maybe a strong offseason process will do him wonders after kind of a meh year to the standard he put up last year in 2022 or 2023, excuse me. But yeah, I get it. Makes sense for the Dolphins. I'm kind of leaning heavy on pass rusher for the Dolphins, but we have seen 3 pass rushers come off the board. Indianapolis Colts, they're going with Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Listen, I don't love this pick for the Colts. I love the prospect. I don't love the pick or the fit. Anthony Richardson, how many times is he really going to be thrown every game? And on top of that, the tight end position, like it wasn't a heavily targeted group for the Colts. I think it was around 13 to 15% of their passing volume. And yes, you can argue, well, they don't have very good tight ends, but it's like, again, your offense, it's not going to be, it's going to be focused on the run game and what Richardson could do with his feet, not so much his arm. So I kind of question the value of a tight end for the tight ends. And I get it. Tight ends block. Ha ha ha. He he he. But still, I kind of prefer defense for this pick. But that's just me. They did just fire Gus Bradley. Finally, good job, Colts. All right, pick 15. Atlanta Falcons, James Pierce Jr. edge out of Tennessee. I just released my edge rankings yesterday, and I still love Pierce. A lot of people don't love him because, well, he's a little light in the pants. He got better in the run defense, but still you're going to question how's that going to look at the NFL level. But regardless, the Falcons are taking pass rush, or at least they should. I know that they were a bit hotter down the stretch, but they got picked apart final game of the season when it mattered against Atlanta. And yes, it mattered. They didn't find out the Bucks were going to win until late in that Carolina-Atlanta game. And the defense was a mess prior to that. So get some pass rush. All right, Arizona Cardinals. Oh, I love this. Mike Green, edge out of Marshall. Bring the hype. I have not seen Mike Green go this high in a mock draft, and I absolutely love it. I love it. He's a different type of pass rusher than what the Cardinals currently have at their disposal. I mean, I guess you could say like, well, they got an undersized pass rusher in BJ Ojulari, but he's like his brother, man. He's hurt. So Mike Green, man, he may be like 248, but the dude plays stupid strong. He might be the most bendy pass rusher in this class. I'm a huge fan. Can't wait to see him at the Senior Bowl. Cardinals probably should go with the defensive line, at least with this pick, especially with how studded this defensive line class is. But again, with how deep it is, you're not pigeonholed into taking defensive line if you don't want to in the first round. Pick 17, Cincinnati Bengals take Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan. He's a big boy, 340, brings you a lot of, well, a lot of meat, but also a lot of speed at that size. This defense is a mess. They need to add pieces all over the place, not just on the defensive line, but it's a good place to start. Like, your pass rush was Trey Hendrickson, and that was it. That was it. They are going to potentially get a new scheme with the new DC in town, Coach Lou, getting his walking papers earlier this week. But I like the Grant pick. There might be some other tackles maybe I favor a little bit more, but if you're looking for, again, those guys that have a lot of heft to them, Grant's the guy. Kelvin Banks, offensive lineman out of Texas, going to the Seahawks. This is a thing with Campbell and Banks. Are they guards or are they tackles at the NFL level? It's going to be a question we're going to be asking ourselves for months. For months. The Seahawks, they had one of the worst, I would actually dare say the worst position group when it came to their guards and centers. Your best player among that, probably Lincoln Tomlinson. He's a free agent. And believe me, when I say best, I use that really loosely. So I could see them addressing that or maybe trying to get that via free agency. They're also going to have to be a team that clears up cap space. I think they are one of 3 teams that are currently in the negative and are over the cap. So they are going to have to take care of some contracts here and there. But I love Banks, and going at 18, I think is a really good value. Obviously, you could talk about Abraham Lucas. You can't really rely on him to stay healthy. Houston Texans take Ariante Ursary, offensive lineman out of Minnesota. So the Houston Texans. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you could play him at guard and be okay with it. But I mean, at 6'6", I mean, that's kind of tall for a guard. I don't love taller guards. Doesn't mean it can't work, because it has worked in the NFL, but I just don't love it. I think regardless, though, if you're the Texans, you want to do something about this offensive line. It's not like Stroud was great with his pocket presence. He definitely had some self-imposed pressure that he put on himself, but let's be frank, the offensive line wasn't that good either. It wasn't. Denver Broncos, they're going to go with Luther Burden, wide receiver Adam Mizzou. All right. So again, we're on Ashton Genty watch right now. I forgot the Chargers are picking a little bit later. So you're just getting Bo Nix more weapons. That's a big plus. You get this nice yak target that you could definitely scheme up different things for and just have a hell of a good time with. I love it. I love Burden. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to go with Siobhan Revel. Corner out of ECU, the Buccaneers. Buccaneers pass rush seems to be the most popular pick for them. I don't disagree with it. But if they really do fall in love with a corner in this class after Hunter and Johnson, then yeah, you sure can send it, because Jameel Dean can't really, like, he's struggled to stay healthy, which sucks. He's really good when on the field. You saw some good things from Zion McCullum this past season, but you could definitely still enforce the position and bring in more talent, because I mean, corner is the most volatile position on an NFL roster. You want to make sure you have competition, talent, and depth. So I'm cool with the pick. Pittsburgh Steelers go Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. And it was at that moment that every Pittsburgh Steeler fan began to crap on this draft. I get it. The Steelers are good at getting wide receivers on day 2. I get it. But let's be honest. Let's be honest about this wide receiving core for the Steelers. It's not great. It's not even good. Like, you got Pickens, cool. You have, oh gosh, I'm blanking. Calvin Austin, who I think is a good, is he more than just a gadget player? Sure, but still, I'd rather him be like my wide receiver 3 or 4. Roman Wilson, you don't know what you have in yet, but still, regardless, I think you want to address the position, or at least bring in competition. Los Angeles Rams are going to go with Jahdae Barron, corner out of Texas. And this is like the perfect fit, in my opinion. Like, Barron, I think, needs to go to a very zone-heavy defense. And the Rams are just that, a zone-heavy defense. They do a good job with smaller corners. And I mean, Jahdae is going to be around, 5'11", 190. He's got inside-outside flexibility, which is right up the Rams' alley in terms of what they like at the corner position. I think it's just a hand-in-glove fit. I really do. Green Bay Packers are going to take Benjamin Morrison, corner out of Notre Dame. And corner is probably going to be the most popular spot when it comes to mock drafts for the Packers. You got Eric Stokes, free agent. Jair Alexander's banged up. So you're going to want to add more, again, competition, depth, talent to the position. You've seen good things from Carrington Valentine, but still, you could always go out and get more. Morrison, dude's a top 10 talent, but we got to figure out more with the hip injury. All right, here we go. Los Angeles Chargers, and it's not Ashton Genty, but Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. And I get it, dude. Jim Harbaugh taking his boy out of Michigan, but they don't really have a pass catching threat from the tight end spot. They got Will Disley. He's not a pass catching threat. I'm sorry. He's just not. So if you're trying to help Justin Herbert, Harbaugh goes out and gets a guy that he's familiar with. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't mind it. I still kind of like defensive tackle for the Chargers. Defensive line, probably in general for the Chargers, would be at the top of my board. Okay, we got the Washington Commanders. They go with Josh Connerly Jr., tackle out of Oregon. So we have seen a bit of a run on the offensive line talent in this class, offensive tackle talent specifically. And I don't mind it, man. I think they could probably cut ties with Andrew Wiley, free up some cap space, but you don't really have to. He's been solid for him. Like, he's been okay. Like, there are far, far worse starting tackles in the NFL. And I say that as a very open Andrew Wiley denier. Like, I don't think he's that good, but he was solid for them this season. They have Brandon Coleman on the other side. You bring Connerly into the fold, and yeah, I don't mind it, man. I think it'd be a good fit too for Kingsbury. Baltimore Ravens are going to go with Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. Oh my gosh, Genty's still on the board, by the way. I mean, I didn't think he'd go with this pick, but I would certainly think about it. I mean, you got one more year at Derrick Henry. I mean, I'm just saying, Ashton Genty's still available. It might be in the cards. But they go with the guard here. You got what? Patrick McCarry? Or is it McCarry Patrick? Oh, I just get him confused with you got Lucas Patrick. Regardless, I think he's a free agent. You got Daniel Faalele, and I think they've been adequate at the guard position. You could look to upgrade certainly, but I don't think I'd do it in the first round. That's just me though. Pick 28, Minnesota Vikings, and finally Ashton Genty comes off the board. There's no way he's going to stick around this long in the actual draft. But golly, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you got to feel like you got to steal. Even if you bring back Aaron Jones, you got to feel great. Like, oh, this is our guy. This is our guy, Aaron Jones. Now, I mean, you worry about injuries with Aaron Jones, right? And now he doesn't even have to touch the ball all that. Like, he could be a 10 to 15 touch type of guy because Genty could be your workhorse. So I would love the pick. I don't think it happens. Doesn't mean I don't love it. Moving on, Buffalo Bills. They go with Talik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. So you're kind of looking for a big presence in the middle of the defense. Williams would be that. I don't love his pass rushing upside. No, that's not fair. I like his upside as a pass rusher. However, like, he's got the tools. It's just it hasn't really clicked yet at the collegiate level. But you're getting one of the best run stuffers in the NFL. He brings size, which is great next to a guy like Ed Oliver. Daquan Jones is up there in years, so I get the pick. I think defensive line's a good pick for the Bills. You could also make a case for corner. You got the Philadelphia Eagles, pick 30. They go with Shamar Stewart, defensive lineman out of Texas A&M. People are sleeping on this dude. And I'm not even that high on Shamar Stewart, but people are really sleeping on him. Like, if you don't think this guy's going to be a first-round pick, you're probably in the minority. If you don't think, like, people are going to be raving about his athleticism at 6'6", 290, you're probably in the minority. Like, dude's a legit prospect. And like I said, I'm not even that high on him. He's probably going to be in my, like, just outside my top 20. I'm gonna have to go look at that. I'm currently putting together my big board. But you do have Milton Williams. He's a free agent. If you're looking to replace him, getting a very athletic, big-bodied player in Shamar Stewart would be a great way to do that. Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to go with Cameron Williams, tackle out of Texas. And I see you Chiefs fans. Like, Gojo, do you love this pick? You won't even look me in the eye. I see you in the comments, Chiefs fans. Why are we going with more young talent at the tackle position? Well, because you don't have the tackle position completely figured out yet. That's why. You keep swinging until you hit. It's typically the rule of the draft. You keep swinging until you hit. Because you're not going to be able to afford to bring in those guys for the most part. But when it comes to Williams, like in terms of like size, length, athletic ability, yeah, he's got the makings of a top 15 player. Just it's his first year as a starter. We saw the ups, we've seen the downs with him. So he is going to be someone you might have to develop. It might not be ideal to throw him out there year one, but nonetheless, I understand the pick. And then we're going to wrap this sucker up with the Detroit Lions taking Mikael Williams, edge out of Georgia. Totally forgot he was still on the board. Let's read this one real quick. While Williams' overall pass rush production hasn't reached an elite level in college, his raw power, length, and hard-nosed play style should see him come off the board in round one. I think he has room to grow to even bigger from his listed 265, which would give him some alignment versatility in Detroit, up front for Detroit, which they would love guys like that. They love their John Kaminsky's and such. So, like, I mean, and at this juncture, grabbing someone with the tools of Williams is just the rich get richer at this point. Like Brad Holmes, like straight up, you're not even gonna be. You can't even give him props for making this pick because, I mean, if 31 other teams are gonna let someone with the tools of Williams just fall to you, then yeah, send it. We'll try to develop him. We'll figure it out. So yeah, I mean, he's going to go much higher than this, but that would be a phenomenal pick. But go ahead, let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. I'm hoping to have another prospect rankings video out for y'all tomorrow. We'll see if I can get all that done. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.